Hello and welcome to Pregnancy Info. Today we are giving you information about the fact of kids' behavior. Children of all ages lie for a variety of reasons. In fact, it is so common that a study from the University of Waterloo found that 96% of young children lie at some point. Children are trying to figure out how to act in the world, the difference between real and pretend, and how to deal with conflict. Their developmental stage plays a role in how and why children lie, and being aware of this can help us as adults respond to lies in a calm, understanding way. We will discuss the reasons age by age. First of all, we will tell the reasons of lying in toddlers. Until about 3 years old, toddlers who lie are generally engaged in fantasy play. It means they create the false stories for the sake of fantasy, denying misbehavior that they think will magically go away if they lie about doing it. They are worried about upsetting or disappointing a parent. Really don't remember the whole story. Preschoolers know the difference between truths and lies, but wanting to please their caregivers something trumps telling the truth. Young children are figuring out the difference between real and pretend. Sometimes we encourage pretend, like when we talk about the tooth fairy. While encouraging imagination is important, your child may sometimes get confused about what is real and not. They may want to make the story more exciting. Their imagination is working overtime. They may wish they hadn't done what they did, so they say they didn't do it. Elementary and middle school. As kids get older, their understanding of lying gets clearer, but the reasons behind lying become more complex. Older children are also capable of coming up with more advanced lies and sound sincere when telling it. They may rehearse it in their head, and after they are starting to really believe it, they have more words and are starting to understand how others think. Embarrassment or fear of mistakes. Your child may not know how to handle making a mistake and lie to cover it up. They may fear getting in trouble or don't want to disappoint you. Sometimes they feel worried about the lie itself and create more lies. Avoidance. Whether it's chores or homework, sometimes children lie to avoid something they don't want to do. To be cool. For many kids, making friends and fitting in is challenging. They may lie to impress other kids or fit in. They may tell a white lie to avoid hurting someone's feeling. For attention, your children may want to seek attention with a lie or even want to see how you react. We saw 2 lions in the park today. Sounds more interesting that we walked by a cat on the way to the park. You might respond by saying something like, "That's great story. You have a good imagination." This will encourage imagination without encouraging the lie. Fear of punishment. Your children may lie if they worry the truth will bring a punishment. Children who are bullied or abused may lie for fear they will be treated worse if they tell. How you can respond? For toddlers and preschoolers, encourage imagination and help your child start to distinguish between real and pretend. For example, you and your child can pretend to be firefighters and then later go to your local fire station to meet a real firefighter. Prompt them to tell the whole story. Give your child positive feedback when they tell the truth. Give them opportunity to distinguish between real and not real. Praise your child for owning up to the truth. Create clear rules about lying and be consistent about keeping them. Be a good role model. Be honest about your mistakes. If your child is trying to fit in, find ways to raise their self-esteem. How they can come up with concrete things they can do about the situation. Give unconditional love. Let your child know that even when they make mistakes, you still love them. Emphasize the importance of honesty in your family. Avoiding punishment. Lying to avoid getting into trouble is extremely common in kids, and we discuss strategies to help avoid this kind of behavior. Saving face. Sometimes kids lie because they don't want to upset you or to help them look good in front of their peers and are authority figures. This is especially common in children who struggle with low self-esteem. Avoiding unpleasant discussions. Your child may be lying as a way to avoid engaging in a discussion with you about something stressful or difficult to him or her, and your reaction can perpetuate the cycle rather than solve the situation. Instead of focusing on the fact that your child is lying, pay close attention to what those lies are trying to tell you about your child and what he or she might be struggling with. Impulsivity. There's a lot of literature online about the relationship between ADHD and lying, which goes above and beyond the scope of this video, but I still wanted to mention it. Whether your child has an official ADHD diagnosis or simply has a tendency towards impulsive behavior, he or she may be lying as a way to cover up his or her impulsivity and or inability to complete certain tasks. These children are subjected to a lot of negative feedbacks throughout the day and will do anything to cover up their mistakes to avoid further punishment for things beyond their control. Remain calm. Whether you are addressing your child's lying in the moment or discussing it at a later time, it's important to stay calm. If you react negatively by shouting at your child, telling him or her how disappointed you feel, etc., your child may engage in similar behavior in the future to avoid the same kind of reaction out of you. While you want to encourage honesty, you want your child to feel safe telling you when he or she has made a mistake. Dig deep. Have you ever heard of the iceberg model? It's quite fascinating. According to the theory, the poor behaviors we see in our children are only the tip of a much bigger iceberg, and since only about 10% of an iceberg is visible to the naked eye, it is theorized that the drivers of our child behavior live beneath the surface, and that the must thing we have to find and understand these drivers before changing can occur. Your child may be lying to avoid disappointing you, to boost his or her self-esteem, to protect something else, etc. Take the time to listen to what your child isn't telling you. Avoid trying to catch your child in a lie. Instead of deliberately trying to catch your child in a lie and inflaming the situation, choose a different approach. For example, if you ask your child to clean his or her room before dinner and you know this hasn't happened, consider going up to your child's room and framing the conversation in a positive way. You might say something like, "Hey, I just wanted to come up and tell you the dinner will be ready in 30 minutes and ask you what your plan is to get your room picked up beforehand. Like I asked, is there anything I can do to help you get started?" The idea is not to draw attention to the fact that your request hasn't been completed or to nag, but rather to remind and offer help. Provide a second chance. If your child tells you something you know for certain is a lie, try giving him or her a second chance to come clean. Say something like, I am not sure that's entirely accurate. I'm going to give you a few minutes to rethink what you told me, and then we will talk again. Keep your emotions out of the conversation and remember to offer positive praise if your child is successful in telling you the truth. And second time, to reinforce the idea that truthful behavior leads to a positive interaction. I hope all these tips to respond with the lying kid will be helpful to you and your family. If you find this video useful, then share it with your friends and family members, and also subscribe my channel, and you can comment your thinking through the comment section. Thank you.